All right, everyone. It's Dave Barnett from the investlocalbook.com blog site. As you know, we've been answering questions over the last few weeks. And this week I have a question that involves real estate flipping houses. So since I've got access to an expert on the topic, I figured that I would do a Google Hangout and bring in some expert advice for Brian. And here's Brian's question. I have a local realtor wanting me to invest in a fixer-upper. 15% return on my money when the house is sold. The house is in my name until sold. I look at the house before it's purchased. I know the contractor, location, etc. What else would I need to watch for in one of these deals? That's a question from Brian. Now, before I give my take on it, let me introduce Darlene Smith. Darlene, you are an expert coach and speaker on the topic of flipping real estate. And you actually work with an organization called Fortune Builders, and you fly all over North America all the time. I mean, you were recently in San Diego. You're going to Hamilton, Ontario this weekend, all kinds of places like that. As far as my take on this, worst case scenario, this guy could end up owning a half renovated house, right?
That's correct, Dave. You know, one of the things, it looks like that they're needing some help, and it looks like for the realtors looking for some funding as a private lender and going to pay a good return, 15%. Correct. You want to make sure you're in first position on the house. To own the house, having to foreclose would be the worst case scenario that would happen, and that's not what we want to happen. The other thing is you also want to make sure that this guy has some experience in doing this, and I'd want to have an idea as to what the numbers are, kind of what we call analyze the deal. What money are they putting into renovations? Also, too, what are they looking to get for it at the end? Because sometimes, you can put all kinds of money into the property, but if the market price can't support the price, then you could be in a scenario where you're not making any money, and it could be a little challenging.
So, to understand what you're talking about, what you actually need to start with is the end. What if we look at the market, what are we likely going to be able to sell the house for once all the renovations are complete? And then work backwards and say, this is our budget for the renovations. And this is the profit that we're going to offer to you, Brian. And this is what you're going to pay for the house. And all those numbers have to work backwards. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, that's right. Because basically, we talk about what is going to be the exit strategy. The exit strategy is to sell it for X amount of dollars. Basically, if you do a great job on the renovations and you want to get top dollar, extra value, that's right. You've got to be able to put the money into the house that it needs. And basically, in real estate, you make the money when you buy. If they can't buy the property at the right price, then it's going to be challenging to make sure they make a profit. So that's what the realtor's looking. He's basically saying, hey, I'm helping you to sell part of the profit of the deal, and I'm going to be successful with this because I've done all my work. And one of the other things you want to look at, we call it a scope of work, is to make sure you've analyzed and there's no red flags, no big surprises in the house as far as renovations going on concerned.
So based on this question, the fact that the realtor wants him to buy the house and the realtor is offering him a fixed rate of return, it looks like the realtor is trying to be the house flipper and is looking for this guy to basically finance the biggest component of the project, which is the house itself. But the realtor is offering to let Brian have the house in his name, as opposed to being a first lien, mortgage lender on it. Would ownership cause any issues in your mind, or is that even better than being a first lien mortgage holder?
Well, it is better because you have title to the property, but that's not normally how we teach it. Basically, the person who's going to be flipping the house or renovating it, the property would go in their name, correct, because they basically have total control. First lien position just means you have a financial interest. It's more protection for them, but I'd be kind of curious as to what the situation is. Now, maybe it's a case if the gentleman is a realtor, maybe it's protection for him, dealing with the real estate board and everything else, that he's protecting himself, not having the property in his name, having it in somebody else. So he doesn't get, concerns from his real estate board that, he's buying this property, not putting it through the MLS, things like that. So that could be an angle as well.
Okay. So, I mean, my worst case scenario is that I first thought of when I read this question is that the if the realtor doesn't know what he's doing and spends a bunch of money with contractors who are incompetent, the job could get half done, and then Brian would end up being the owner of a house that's half renovated, and some of these contractors could actually apply mechanics liens if they weren't paid for the project. So the worst case scenario is he could end up with a house that was half renovated, barely in saleable condition, whose title has then been messed up with these contractor liens, right?
That's correct, and that's where you run into a lot of problems if you don't document, use proper paperwork. Because contractors, correct, if they're not paid, that's where the title gets messed up, and it becomes very challenging. I mean, one thing that we teach is doing the right thing, making sure contractors get paid, making sure too we use the right paperwork so that everybody's signed off so this can't happen. We call it a lien waiver, so contractors are paid, it's signed off and not. And it's just that sometimes it seems too good to be true in some scenarios. I would kind of look at it, all right, what's the scenario, what's this guy's experience, and is this how he's normally done property, is this his first flip? So a few more questions that I would have before I would be signing on the dotted line.
So, you know, I don't know anything about Brian other than this question, but I'm assuming that if we're talking about Brian purchasing a house, then he probably has somewhere in the order, of 100 in this market, 100 to 150 grand that he can put into one of these deals. In a marketplace where where we are in Moncton, New Brunswick, where a newer nice house is going to be in the 175 to 200 range. Would a person with that kind of capital be able to have a good flipping business if they followed a proper procedure and roadmap to success, like the one that you work with?
Yeah, no question. If you're doing everything the right way, buying it right, knowing how to put the systems in place, protecting yourself and everybody involved, yes. One of the things too, from a financing point of view, is normally, as a private lender, we would not finance 100% of the deal. Normally, it's like 75%. So if you had to buy it, say for 100,000, then the Brian would be putting in 75,000, right? So that the other person has some skin in the game, has some equity. Now, can you finance 100%? Sure, you can. As the lender, you're just kind of putting yourself in a little big risk. And one of the things I'd want to be doing with Brian too is recommending is let's do some draws. Like, if you're doing the property and you're doing the renovations, let's just get the property purchased first. Don't give all the renovation money up front. You need to protect it. We call it, staying ahead of work and behind on money.
Yeah, from the way the question is phrased, though, I don't think he's being asked to put up any renovation money. I think he's just being asked to purchase and hold the house. So I don't think there's an opportunity for him to actually put out more than the house was initially purchased for. But yeah, Darlene, look, I can do a screen share here because I called up your web page. Where is it here?
Oh wow! Don't you love technology, Dave?
Yeah, I do. Let's see here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Fortune Builders and the work that you do with them?
Sure. Fortune started in the United States, and I'm actually their first Canadian student. And a couple of years ago, I don't know if they brought their brand to Canada. I don't know if you ever watched that show, A&E Flip This House.
Yeah, I remember that. Weren't they in New England somewhere?
Yeah, they originally started in Connecticut, originally from San Diego, and these guys have flipped over 1,000 houses, and so they've taken their systems and more or less have educating people across North America. So I've been very fortunate to join them now on the coaching staff, and I basically head up the Canadian division where you're right. I travel across the country training new entrepreneurs, people looking to do this business, whether it's flipping, buy and holds, and which is cool. So it's great fun to be able to give back to the community. I feel really honored to work with my mentors because Dan and Paul from CD Homes are my mentors. And wow, what an opportunity to work and coach. And it doesn't get better than this at helping people, improve their lives and start their own business. And a little bit of, I call it a little bit of life coaching in there too. I've met some awesome people across North America.
All right. Well, thanks, Darlene, for taking some time to talk with me today, because I knew that this question was right up your alley, and it's your whole life right now. It's basically helping people through these kinds of investments. So I thought it was a great opportunity to have you on my channel. Thanks a lot, and have a great time in Hamilton this weekend.
All right. Thanks, Dave. It's always a pleasure, and glad I could help out. And good luck with your flip.
Thanks. We'll wish Brian good luck with it.
We're Brian.
I'm not into flipping houses.
You're not into flipping? Okay. Maybe that's us. All right, Dave.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, you made it to the end of the video. That's great. Don't forget, visit www.investlocalbook.com. Sign up for my email list. It's right down here under the welcome video. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.